Hi gang, it's Seth. Let me sort this out. Do a video here that I started to do earlier, but I was actually so angry. Don't feel I was articulating my point very well. And just a small interesting side note, my black roommate, he told me, he's like, when you get mad, you talk slower and use bigger words. And it's true. It's like because I kind of apply an extra filter when I know I'm upset, because I'm generally well restrained. I don't say things out of anger or spite. But I just want to make sure I don't. I was watching a Swede Speaks video. That was touching on, I guess, for lack of better terms, the war on the West, and or by Islam, and more important, Islamification. I've done a video on that. I'll link it below. I'll also link a Swede Speaks video below. I suggest you check it out, mainly, well, on top of it being good and insightful, his perspective is different from mine. The part of it is he's a lot more conservative than I am, and so his views are just slightly different in that regards. But more importantly, what I consider more important, not more important as if the other one doesn't matter, but excuse me, he is in Norway. I believe it's Norway, and I'm sorry if I botched that up, but he's a Swede who I believe now lives in Norway. If I'm sorry, if I'm mistaken about that, Swede, you can correct me below, and I apologize for that. But what I'm getting at is his perspective is different. What he sees there is different. A lot of the news that gets ignored, downplayed, swept under the rug here, he's dealing with, they're dealing with, and he sees in a different light, and it's very insightful. The reason I started the video earlier today is because I hate the Muslim apologists, the people who defend Muslims, and not defend Muslims, I should say, but after a terror attack, bend over backwards several times over to make sure not only that this is not looked at as a problem with Islam, but that they are made to be the victims of the attack, because X amount of people died, but people are mad at Muslims now. But like, what about I mean, like, usually it's before, while body counts are still being told, while people are still in the hospital dying. We have people apologizing to Muslims, apologizing on behalf of people like me. Well, I'm not sorry. Facts are not racists. Facts are not racist. I could tally up the terror attacks the last month. Those are facts. It's not Islamophobic. It's disgusting. It's getting to the point where it's enraging for someone like me having to deal with it. I don't get angry very often, and I'm hoping this will allow me to purge a lot of that. Which, again, that's a lot of the reason I do this. I don't have a lot of people I could talk to, so I'm talking to you. Now, the thing I wanted to talk about, because I see all these comments like, when will it end? When will be the like? Here's the bottom line: it's not going to end, because the left has so much control. No one's going to care about this in 2 weeks. By no one, I mean the majority of leftists who just want to push their agenda and need voters and need these people coming in to vote for them. They're more interested in maintaining power bases and political forums than protecting their nation. And they don't realize, not that that's justified at all, but say it is, they don't realize that in 8, 12, 15, 20 years, they're going to get voted out also. They're not going to need you anymore once Islamists get in power and just have the power to vote whoever they want in anyway. I use the example of Hamtramck, where I grew up in Michigan. First majority Muslim city council of any city in the U.S. The weather's getting warmer. It's supposed to be in the 50s or 60s tomorrow, which is funny because it's been like 19 or 20 here, because Michigan is bipolar, but it's supposed to be like 50 or 60 tomorrow. And weather permitting, I'm going to go down there and film some things just to give you a walk through where I used to live. I may do a live stream, but I don't think I can do that on my phone. Dang it. I don't know. I'll figure that out. Anyway, If not, you'll have to wait. So where was I? But yeah, the problem is this is not going to go away. People are going to apologize for it. They're going to make not fake, crocodile tears, act sad, but then they're going to talk about how we need to unite. And the irony of it is, like, you don't need to tell me. You don't need to tell people in the UK and France, native French people, native Britons, native to native Swedes. Well, maybe native Swedes, because I'm sorry a Swede speaks, but you guys have, not you particularly, because you have common sense, but you Swedes have this detachment about you that just, it blows me away. Like, I mean, apologizing to the person who raped you for being deported blows me away. But it's not going to end, because people are more eager to cater to them than they are to actually worry about taking positive stances and taking their country back. It's upsetting seeing these news articles, seeing these people apologizing, just seeing everything. When's it going to end? It's not. And it's going to end when Islam takes over that city, that state, that country, and then eventually that country. Further infuriating me was I happened to see some twits about M103 passing in Canada. Apparently, Canada is chasing Sweden for the country most eager to become a caliphate or an Islamic Sharia law country. Because, in short, M103 focuses on Islamophobia, making Islamophobia illegal, targeting Islamophobia, targeting Islamophobes, and everything about protecting Muslims from anything like criticism, the truth, facts, debates, or arguments. Responsibility for actions, that's another thing, because we can't have that. So it's perfectly okay to bash a Jew, a Hindu, an atheist for their beliefs, a Christian for their beliefs, but you can't criticize a Muslim. Now, the problem with these, and I believe there was a similar law passed recently in Australia, these laws are so loosely written that a video like this could be considered a hate crime, Islamophobia, and I could be whatever the penalty is, because I haven't seen. I read the text on it today. They didn't have hashed out penalties yet. Any penalty is wrong. I told you before, to me, hate speech is hate speech, and that's illegal. Or I'm sorry, I don't believe in hate speech. I believe in free speech, and I believe in illegal activity. If I want to bash Christianity, if I want to bash Republicans, if I want to bash white people, if I want to bash men, and I'm doing it in something that doesn't violate the law in terms of like cussing in public, swearing in front of kids, whatever, then it's not a crime. And if it's not a crime, then it shouldn't be illegal. I should be able to say anything I want as long as I'm not committing a crime. There's a very distinct line. What did I say? Is it illegal? Then it's not hate speech, it's not Islamophobia or anything. And that's one of the ironies of people who use this term Islamophobia. A phobia is an irrational fear of something. It's not a fear of something. So, if I'm in Iraq getting shot at, I'm not, it's not a phobia to be scared to get shot by a bullet, but it's a phobia to be scared that spider on the wall that's not poisonous is going to kill me. It's a phobia to be scared that if I walk outside of my door, I'm going to fly off into space. You know what I'm saying? Those are phobias. Claustrophobia. You're scared of enclosed places. Well, you could go in there, you're not dying, you can breathe, you could open the door and get out, but your irrational fear is that you can't get out, you'll die, you'll suffocate, whatever. So the point is, me pointing out Muslims do this, these are problems in Muslim countries, these are problems with the Quran. I'm not scared. I'm not saying anything irrational. I don't have an irrational fear. But if to say, well, that's alone, its own, stands on its own. But now let's talk about maybe I am scared, okay? Why is it irrational to be scared of someone? For example, if I'm scared to go into, I'm sorry, if a Muslim person walks into a mall and I get scared, is it irrational? Well, how many suicide attacks have been carried out by Muslims? Now, would it be irrational for me to think he's going to pull out a bazooka and kill me? Yeah. Or get a tank or a flamethrower? Yeah. But just to be suspicious of something that happens literally every day throughout the Middle East and Europe now, that's not irrational. That is a logical, rational fear. And people, they can't see this. I don't think that it needs to go that far. But now when you talk about certain other fears, so for example, I may be fearful that allowing Syrian immigrants or immigrants from Muslim countries is going to eventually lead to Sharia law, Muslim policies, pro-Islamist policies, okay? Which your reply may be, well, you're an Islamophobe. I'm like, okay, well, what about the fact that in Canada now, they have an a law making it illegal to criticize, say anything negative, say anything that could remotely resemble anything that may possibly be misconstrued by someone as hateful or racist against something that's not a race. You could be held, have repercussions for that. In the UK, they have Sharia patrols in Sharia parts of town. In Australia, again, you can't, though there are laws there. In Sweden, if you walk in the wrong area and you're a woman, you could just get raped. Is that irrational? Is that an irrational fear? It's interesting to me. Islamists, a lot of Islamists, and this is by their own admission, Anjem Chowdhury, who's a piece of garbage, did an interview about Belgium. And in short, I'm going to paraphrase heavily, but you can watch. Just look up an Anjem Chowdhury interview in Belgium where he talks calmly, does a news station, talks about how basically, hey, Belgium, you guys are going to be gone here. It may take 10 or 20 or 30 years, but we don't need to come here with tanks. We don't need to come here with suicide bombers. Do you know what we're going to do? We're going to come here, because you let us in. We're going to take the houses you give us. We're going to take the benefits you give us. We're going to take the electronic devices you give us, the vehicles you give us, the health insurances, the medical insurances, all these other things. And then we're just going to have 6 kids. And then in 20 years, we're just going to vote you guys out of office. Is that an irrational fear? Now, maybe, if there weren't, if I just assumed that, like, I could maybe say, like, well, that is maybe kind of irrational. But then, like, so, again, ignoring what happened in my hometown, ignoring what's happening in Luton in the UK, ignoring what's happening in Dearborn in Michigan, ignoring what's happening in Canada now, ignoring in Australia, again. So if you ignore all those places, you have video of people telling you that this is literally what they are doing. Is that an irrational fear? So now, okay, is it an irrational fear to lock all of your doors, get a double locked door, get a panic room, because you think me, as Seth, am just going to kick in your door and beat you up? That's kind of irrational, right? Because I probably don't know you, don't know where you live, I have no reason to. I'm a generally calm guy, I don't just really go and assault people. But now, is it irrational for me to say, hey, viewer, pretend I know your name, Joe. Hey, Joe viewer, I'm going to find out where you live on the internet, and then I'm going to come kick in your door, and then I'm going to beat you to death. When I say that is literally what my plan is, now is that an irrational fear? No. You have Muslims saying they want to murder anyone who's not an not a Muslim. You have Muslim government saying they're going to wipe Israel off the map, and they will not be satisfied until Israel and every Jew is cleansed of the earth. You have Muslims who say Islam is the one true faith, and it's in the Quran and from the words of Allah and the actions of Muhammad. Islam is going to be the one only true religion in the world. You have people who say it's okay to throw gays off of buildings. You have people who think it's okay to sexually assault a non-Muslim. Is that irrational then? Irrational would be like, I just have a feeling that Muslims are going to ride dragons into my house and burn my kids alive, and that would be irrational. That would be something Islamophobic. If I thought they were going to come in here, whatever, just think of some things that I have no reason to believe. But right now, you could spend 5 minutes and find videos of Muslims and Islamists saying these things. And then you have the nerve to tell someone that it's irrational. Most people would not want a group of KKK moving into their neighborhood, okay? Now, what if only, I don't know, here's a crazy thing. What if not one of them commits a violent crime, commits a crime, or does anything illegal? They are white supremacists, they hate you, they look at you, they turn the other way, they ignore you, they don't do anything illegal. Most people would be appalled at a group of white supremacist KKK members moving into their neighborhood, and they try to fight it. KKK is not massacring people all over the world and the country right now. They don't have agendas openly saying they're going to do this. KKK was all but disbanded. And they're just like a shell of what they used to be. Rightfully so. I'm happy about that. But the point is, if that happened, people would be up in arms. People are up in arms when KKK, white supremacists or white nationalists put on a thing. In California, there were a small riot. Anytime they organize somewhere, there's either the extreme threat of violence, but what have they done? When was the last suicide? I'm going to argue, okay? And straight from the hip, no idea. I'm going to bet that in Europe, over the past month, Muslims have killed more people than the last 10 years by the KKK. I would argue I could probably multiply the number killed by the KKK by 50. And that would be at least less, but I'm going to say half, than Muslims killed people in the last month in Europe. Not the Middle East, because again, they are blowing up and murdering Muslims throughout the Middle East and Africa every day. The wrong shade of Muslims. Shias are killing Sunnis. Sunnis are killing Shias. Everyone's killing Sufis because no one likes them. Sufis aren't killing anybody. And I'm irrational for not wanting to bring that over and live next door to my kids. Make sense of that for me. If you're a liberal, please make sense of that for me. And spoiler alert, you cannot. You can't. Again, I don't believe Islamic people shouldn't be allowed to come here. I believe if they're from countries where there's things like Sharia law. Well, that's probably the biggest one. Any form of Sharia law, but cultures that don't understand the concept of freedom of speech, freedom of religion, secularism, government, non-religious government, separation of church and state. I don't need them here. I don't want them here. If they're fleeing, find another place to flee to. I would argue, maybe I'm wrong here. I'm not not good at geography or geology or whatever the math thing is. That's just a joke. But my brother makes that joke all the time. I'm willing to bet that between any country in the Middle East and Africa that's war-torn, there's 5 closer, stable Middle Eastern countries than the distance from there to the U.S., who are Muslim, more compatible, same cultures, same societal norms. Why do I need to take them? I don't. I don't want them. Now, if you want to say that it's racist, then you're ignorant, because again, my family's roots are from Polish. If there were Polish people massacring one another, to make it to put a label on something, if there are communists there, anarchists, antifas, massacring each other, massacring other people, exporting that terror to the Czech Republic, to Britain, all these places, and literally every day killing hundreds of people, you know what I wouldn't want living next door to me? A Polish communist. A person suspected. A person whose life has been raised on that umbrella of, social norms, the religious role. Well, I can't say religion and communism, that's kind of antithetical, but the point is living in that lifestyle where they're raised not to respect freedom, not to understand freedom. They have no idea what it's like, and I'm going to come here and want that dude coming living next door to me, and then exploding violently on my daughter one day, or kicking in my door, or burning down a house, or fighting some dude in the street because he had the nerve to say God bless America or something, or God bless you when he sneezed. No, don't want it. I don't care if they're white Christians. If there was a group of white Christians all over the world exporting terror, living under these Stone Age ideologies, I wouldn't want them living here. If Christians were like that as a whole today, I wouldn't want them coming here by the droves, and they're not. I'm angry. I'm extremely angry. And this is just a call, to anyone, whether you're in Canada, whether you're in Sweden or Norway as a Swede, in the U.S., whether you're 14 or 15, you can do something, whether it's educate other people, stand up for yourself, protest, sign petitions, share videos, share perspectives, point people in the direction of people that are knowledgeable, share videos about what's going on. It's very easy to misconstrue what I'm saying is I hate Muslims. And by real easy, I mean it's really easy to say that if you're stupid. I say all the time, if you look for something hard enough, you're going to find it. You're going to see it, even when it's not there. So if you want to take what I'm saying as I hate individuals or I hate people, it's not that. I don't want the ideology spreading. I don't need the ideology around me. I don't believe that there's any positive to the ideology right now as a whole. I believe that the negatives outweigh anything positive that can come of it. I believe that me having 500 Islamic people move to my city has more negative potential than positive. If these people can be vetted and refined, then that's a different story. And that's my big issue with the ban being criticized. That's what it should be. We should be vetting these people very thoroughly, unless you just literally don't care about anybody aside from your vote, your I don't know, man. Oh man, what is that term? Goodness gracious. I'm going to pause this and think of it. It's right there. Virtue signaling. Took me a moment to figure it out, but I found it. That's what's more important, is getting votes, staying in power, virtue signaling, sating the degree of guilt that you have at the expense of everything else, self-destructive levels of altruism. If that's what's important to you, you're a fool. Go there. Go somewhere where you can go to Sweden. Go to Saudi Arabia. Go to, well, you can't. They won't allow you to be there. I'm sorry. Go to a Qatar. Go live in Qatar. I forgot you can't live there. You're not, well, yeah, if you're a Muslim, you can, and if you've never been to in Israel, you can go there too. You know, go live in Dubai. You can't go there either. Abu Dhabi. No, wait, you can't go there. Oh man, I know there's some. Oh, yeah, you can go to the war-torn Muslim countries who basically just they don't care anymore. But the point is, you're virtue signaling. You are just not thinking beyond anything aside from phrases, catchphrases, and feelings. You're definitely not thinking beyond, again, your own nose. Take a moment and think beyond your own nose, and you'd be amazed at the world, the truth, the facts that are out there. This video is going on 25 minutes, and I think that probably none of you are going to watch it this far. If you do, do me a favor. Just tell me your favorite kind of pizza. I get really curious about this. With that said, if you do get this far, I'd appreciate a share, comment. I guess this ended up being a lot more of a rant, but again, I'm angry, I'm upset, and I needed to vent. Otherwise, I'd be tossing and turning in bed thinking about all these things and wishing I had done a video. So, I don't know. I hope this reaches you well. And if you're in Canada, it sucks to be you right now. Unless you're Muslim, then you're golden. Thanks, gang, and go easy.